All right. So last week I did a video theorizing how AI is going to take over the jobs, like everyone's talking about, and how we have to start owning assets and be ahead of the curve. And, some of that assets are using AI to build those assets online. And then I talked about like solar panel farms. I talked about, different housing needs in the future. So I did a deep dive in the last week and I dove into, I'm researching building the solar panel farms and getting price quotes on that. And right now the numbers don't seem to pencil out, but maybe they do after you double the cost of electricity and the payback. But anyhow, so I deep dove into AI agents and I got onto that open claw, and then that was just a freaking disaster. Oh my God, just brain damage working with that. Kept crashing out, very unstable platform. I bought a mini computer here to operate it. So then I switched over to Ironclaw, which is supposed to be a much more stable, and just spent a ton of time debugging that. And then finally got that up and running, and it was running great. And then suddenly that crashes out, and now I've got 2 days into debugging it again and can't get back on. And then I'm chatting with AI to try to correct, and debug this. And I've come to the conclusion that AI is too retarded to take over the jobs. Either that or they perfected AI to the point of the most incompetent employees you can find. Right now, it is not in a position to do anything. It is literally retarded. It can do some like impressive tasks, like you're having a conversation with it, but it won't shut up. Even if you tell it to give concise answers, it just goes on and it rambles if you're doing a voice conversation. And then it completely misses your point. Then it'll get stuck on answers that aren't correct. And you have to argue with it to get it into the correct train of thought. And then all of a sudden it's, oh, yeah, you're right. And then change its opinion. And so right now I am scared to death that one is when I finally do like a chat bot on my website, because every other word that's going to come out of that chat bot, if it uses my language, is going to be effing this and effing that. And I'm telling this AI, my frustration levels beyond the point. So I've got very colorful languages. I'm working with this stuff. So yeah, my chatbot's going to be, epic when it comes out on my website at some point, because it's going to mimic my language. So it's going to be a disaster. And I'd like to apologize to everyone because I'm probably going to be the one that makes the robots and AI turn against humanity. So, needless to say, my frustration level is beyond description. There's maybe I'm just a little too early on this tech and trying to do stuff that's out of my grasp. I'm not a developer. I'm part nerd, so I can dive in a little bit, but I get in over my head quick. And it's just AI is going to have to really grow and change, and get smarter and smarter, because right now it does not have the ability to take over bigger jobs. It's like very short. You can only do little short things, like one command at a time, or it just loses all attention span. It's like dealing with a 6-year-old or something. It's just it's not ready. It's not ready for the mainstream. So I think that growth trajectory I anticipated was much faster than it's going to be, unless this just compounds exponentially. I don't see this taking impact in the next year or two. It's too slow. It's too retarded. Just to be frank, it's just absolutely too retarded at this point. Will it in the future? Maybe, if it keeps adapting and growing. But right now, I can't use it. I'm going to play with it and see what I can create with it. But I gotta slow down and not believe the hype that I'm seeing on YouTube. That, oh my gosh, you got 24 months. You have 6 months before this takes over the jobs. No, it's going to take over some basic tasks right now, and that's about the max of its capabilities. You'll be able to create some agent AIs that are going to do some menial tasks, and once they get that perfected, then maybe they can add to it. But doing anything beyond a basic task right now, it just completely craps itself. The whole thing shuts down. So until those bugs get worked out, I have to walk away from it for 2 days. So I'm going to go away and decompress from the technology because it just put me at just stress levels of frustration that no one needs to go through that. No one needs that in their lives. So maybe someday it will, and it will. It will. I'm just very pessimistic after dealing with it for a week. So, but my train of thought has, excuse me, cough right into the microphone. My train of thought has been going down that road and how technology has moved. And I was kind of thinking I don't know if any of you remember the old story of Xerox. So Xerox, I just lost your whole screen here. Bear with me. Xerox had a Palo Alto, California location. They called it Xerox Park. And basically, they were kind of trying to predict the future on computers. This was in the 70s. I think it started in probably the early 70s or maybe mid 70s. So they got a bunch of real geeks there. They threw a bunch of bean bags in there and, jacked them up with Mountain Dew and caffeine. And they started, kind of brainstorming ideas on what computers in the future will look like. At one point in the late 70s, sometime Steve Jobs worked his way in there. I don't know if he was invited. There's two stories there. One is he kind of schmoozed his way in or got in through a friend. And that's where he came up with the idea of the mouse and the Macintosh, a simple to operate computer. And then later, Bill Gates, they were partners, on some stuff collaborating. And then Bill Gates stole the idea from Steve Jobs. And then that's why Windows came out with the mouse and Windows operating system before Apple did. But so I'm looking back and Xerox, right? Xerox pumped a lot of money in there and just say, okay, we're going to get ahead of this. They came up with the idea of the mouse and the simple to operate navigation, and they're trying to get ahead of the curve. And Xerox led the charge. And then the Xerox corporate said, wait a minute, if we come into a paperless society and this is our core business is paper, we're going to kill our own business. So they shut the whole operation down. And then that's when Apple started out of their garage and everything else. So, that technology had started, even though you want to stop it because it kind of changes how you operate. It's going to happen anyhow. So we are going to have to adapt. So even though my frustration level is super high, we have to go back to that story and just say the change is coming. I'm going to have to adapt and I'm going to have to pivot. It's not coming as fast as I thought it was gonna. Like I was on board saying this is changing overnight. Maybe it does pick up speed, but right now it's not there quite yet. So those are my thoughts. I don't know where you go with this. I just wanted to share my frustration with trying to work with AI agents to recreate my job is what I was trying to do. Maybe I had too big of dreams. Maybe I just have to figure out how to use AI agent just to do slot A into slot B, just one task, rather than a big encompassing thing. And let me know what your thoughts are on AI, if it's a real deal or if it's going to go anywhere or if it's all overblown. Maybe it's like Xerox, was afraid it was going to end, and what they didn't realize is human nature was going to hit print after every email. There's still agents I know that will read an email and they'll print it so they have a paper copy to read it. That's like, oh my God. So they, once the computers came out, we actually went through a lot more paper than going paperless. I think it's finally starting to go paperless, but that took a long time. Human nature is hard to change, and it's not going to be as rapid as I thought. That's my experience in the last week. I'll dive back into it next week and let you know on that. And then I'll try to get a market update. Market's changing here. Rates are coming down hard. We're right around 5.5% locally with 1 point. We're seeing that, closer to the 6% without any points, like 5.8, 5.7, somewhere in there. So the deals are out there. Inventory, we're coming off winter here locally. So the inventory is still low. It's starting to come out. We're seeing multiple offers. We're seeing lots of open house activity. I know there's people talking that we're not out of the housing crash yet. And some, people that I kind of respect their opinions too are saying we're going to have low sales. I'm not seeing that, but maybe they're right. If we have low sales, I'd say it's from the inventory levels. Our building permits locally did jump up by 130%, but those were pretty low building permit numbers. So I'll get those stats here maybe this weekend and do a video on that. But the spring market is kicking in, and we're starting to see some activity. So I'm trying to juggle a lot of stuff at once. I'm trying to prepare for the future and keep my current business rolling, and keep the investments rolling. So that's all I got to share. Doesn't look like we got anyone on, so I will sign off and talk to you later. See ya.